Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we are back in the Great League, and honestly, we've got a real treat for you guys today. We are taking a look at another really spicy Pokemon. This time, you probably guessed from the title and thumbnail, we are taking a look at Parasect. Parasect is a really underused bug type. It honestly does have a really good moveset. It has Fury Cutter as a fast move, so it generates energy exceedingly quickly. It has X Scissor as a bait move, and Solar Beam as the KO move. And honestly, after using it as a closer, I ended up having a decent amount of success with it, and I really liked it, and I loved the ability to be able to spam out Solar Beams fairly quickly. Before we do get started, I do want to let you guys know that I was inspired to make this video from a fellow content creator. His name is Galax Kabolton. I've linked his channel down in the description. He is a phenomenally talented battler from Sweden, so if you do have a moment, definitely check out his channel because he makes some fantastic content. And one last thing before we do hop into the battles, and that's that I was checking the analytics over the weekend, and it looks like that 70.4% of the people who do watch my videos are actually not subscribed to the channel. So if you do watch the videos, you're enjoying the content, and you haven't subscribed yet, please definitely do consider subscribing. It helps out the channel a lot, and that way, if you're enjoying the content, you'll get more of it in your subscription feed. Anyways, thank you so much for your consideration, and we'll get right into those battles. So we're hopping into game number 1 against Merkham03. And we are leading our Azumarill into an Azumarill, and this is part of why, if you see at the text at the top, I was running Ice Beam, but I recommend Play Rough, because I ended up encountering a lot of Azumarill leads with this particular team, and I was really missing Play Rough. And as you can tell, my opponent does have Play Rough, so I am going to be losing this initial matchup, or I'll need to switch out. So I do go for the Hydro Pump, then I switch into Deoxys to get ahead on energy. They counter swap into their Galarian Stunfisk, and this is an interesting matchup because while the counters are super effective, all of my charge moves are resisted. So it's basically just however long the battle lasts. So the longer the matchup lasts, the better it is for the Deoxys, so they can get more counter damage. We're going for another Rock Slide here, and as you can tell, it really doesn't do a lot at all. Charge move coming through from the Stunfisk. I do shield it up, so I can hopefully counter down and then leave with a bunch of energy, and it looks like that unfortunately the move did trigger, so I do go for the Psycho Boost just to take it out and get that switch advantage for sure. Azumarill comes in, I go for a Rock Slide. Unfortunately my attack has been lowered, so it's not going to be doing a ton, but it does chip a little bit away, so that definitely works. And Azumarill comes out here, I hop into Parasect, then go for the Hydro Pump of all things. So they did not know their typing, and they come in with Meganium for some reason. Again, that's one nice thing about using spicy Pokemon is people don't know the typing. Parasect absolutely walls Meganium. As you can see, they're throwing a Frenzy Plant. I can let that go. Look how little that did. The Fury Cutters are doing a ton of damage, and I'm getting to those X Scissors very quickly, and they're doing a ton of damage. We do get both shields here, and we're going to be able to shield once, and then this next X Scissor should take out the Meganium. So we entered this matchup with a shield disadvantage, and we ended up winning that matchup straight up. So Azumarill comes out, and we bring in our own Azumarill. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, we don't have Play Rough, so it makes it a little more complicated. But I'm building up a ton of extra energy. I'm actually going for the Ice Beam because I'm realizing that 2 Ice Beams should be enough to take Azu out. We're building up the energy, and we just do get to the Ice Beam, so we are going to be able to take game 1, in large part due to Parasect absolutely walling that Meganium. So good game there. Hopping into game number 2 against Skielby Jr. I definitely mispronounced that, but I tried. And another Azumarill lead. To mention, if you're going to try this team out, run Play Rough, because if there's a grass up front, you're just going to be switching out. So there's not really a point to have Ice Beam, really. Play Rough coming through, yeah, this is not good. We are going to be losing this matchup unless we do switch out. So we go for the Hydro Pump. We play it the same way. We go into our Deoxys. And they actually throw a charge move on the Azu, which tells me they probably don't have a good Deoxys counter. They come in with Altaria. So they don't have a good Deoxys counter. I was correct there. That Rock Slide is super effective, but honestly doesn't do as much as I would like. We are going to shield up here just because that way then we'll be able to pressure the health and shields of the Altaria. We go for Rock Slide. They're going to need to shield this because this would KO. And here we're just hoping to get to a Psycho Boost. And we are able to get to a Psycho Boost. And I'm hoping this is enough. And it's enough, so we take Switch. But unfortunately, Azumarill comes back and is able to get a little bit of energy. Here, I come in with Parasect, and they have a Registeel. Oh no. That's one thing that Parasect is pretty helpless against, is a Steel type. They go for the Flash Cannon onto the Azumarill. And we're going for the Hydro Pump, and we are desperately needing them to not shield this, and they actually do let it go through. So that works out, but this charge move is going to be taking out the Azumarill. Unfortunately, we come back in with Parasect. We're farming up a ton of energy, and we do go for the X-Scissor Bait to hopefully get a shield. And they switch out right away. They come in with their Azumarill. And we're going for the Solar Beam. This would take out the Azumarill. Unfortunately, they do shield, which is tragic. Here, we let the Play Rough go. That does a ton of damage. But look how fast we're able to get to the Solar Beam. We are going to be shielding this up. And then we're very close to a Solar Beam, which is going to be taking out the Azumarill. Solar Beam coming through. This is going to be more than enough to take it out, which it is. Registeel comes back in and unfortunately is able to take us out. So we do lose game 2, unfortunately. Hopping into game number 3, leading Azumarill into a Whimsicott. So an interesting choice there. Looks like they're running the Charm variant. So at least it's not the Razor Leaf version, because that would have not been good. Here, Ice Beam is actually helpful, but Whimsicott is an absolute monster that can just survive that. And as I learned from this battle, it turns out Whimsicott wins the one shield against the Azumarill. So I'm building up a ton of extra energy here. I'm going for the Ice Beam. This will be getting the shield, and unfortunately it looks like they're going to be able to farm me down before I get to another move. So Whimsicott actually wins the one. I'm able to come in with Deoxys and counter down though. They're waiting out the clock here for some reason, and they come in with Altaria. So again, they really don't have a great Deoxys counter, which definitely helps, because Altaria is going to be taking super effective, which it does. Building up a ton of energy. They're going for a charge move here. We let the Sky attack through. Honestly, that was probably a mistake by me, if I'm being 100% transparent. Although they actually let that go. They bring in Azu, we quick swap into our Parasect, and they actually quit, which they shouldn't have, because our only win condition was successfully baiting. So I'm not sure why they quit, but hey, I'll take it. Up against Red Swan for game 4. Azumarill into Obstagoon. Again, I am missing Play Rough in this situation. If you do run this team, please run Play Rough. Do yourself a favor. Like, learn from my mistakes. They go for a Night Slash of all things, so we did successfully call the bait there. Unfortunately, we have Ice Beam, so they can safely no-shield that. And they get to the charge move just before me. I'm like, they're baiting again. They have to, and they gunk shot me. No, this is not good, but we are able to bring in Deoxys and counter down before they get to a Night Slash, which is huge. So Deoxys has some energy, and they come in with the Galarian Stunfisk. So this is going to be another matchup, as I mentioned earlier, where we're doing super effective with the counters, but our charge moves aren't doing anything. So he can pretty safely no-shield our charge moves, because our charge moves do almost no damage. He does connect with the Earthquake, which is less than ideal. We're going for the Rock Slide. This Rock Slide just does some slight chip damage there. Charge move coming through on the Stunfisk. I do decide to shield it up because I do need to get this Stunfisk lower. I go for the Psycho Boost, hoping that it's just going to be enough to take it out. We actually do get a shield, and then he throws. So that actually works out, because now we have a little bit of farm for Parasect. We come with Parasect, we farm down, and what's in the back? A Bastiodon. And here, this is GG, to be honest, 100%. I go for the bait. I'm like, well, maybe if we successfully bait, and he doesn't shield it. No. Yeah, from here, we just Bastiodon back is a death sentence for Parasect. So yeah, I do end up leaving the match. So good game to my opponent there. And we're hopping into game 5 against I am Sehwal 1-3. This is my favorite ever Parasect battle. We have a horrible lead to start. We're going to safe swap into Deoxys. We're building up a ton of energy. They actually throw, which tells me that they're just trying to soften up the Deoxys before they switch in, and they have an Umbreon. So I actually disagree with their decision to soften up the Deoxys first, because Umbreon's going to be doing super effective damage. So that's a matchup that you can typically win out just straight up. So I don't think that's a great decision by my opponent. They're going for a charge move from the Umbreon. It is going to be the foul play, which does get me pretty low. I am able to get to the last second Rock Slide though, and to my absolute joy, he shields it. Watch Parasect here. Parasect comes in, Fury Cutter doing super effective, and we're going to be shielding up everything. Because of that last resort would do a ton of damage. We shield it up. They go for another charge move. I'm worried it's a last resort, so I shield. Turns out it's only a foul play, so I got baited. Farming down, and we are loaded with Parasect. We were waiting to see what comes in. It's an Azu. We go straight for the Solar Beam here. Get beamed, Azu. Oh. And then we go for the X Scissor. At this point, my opponent is shook. He probably thinks it's another Solar Beam. He shields up the X Scissor. We switch into Azu to catch the charge move. Even though it is a discharge, that's totally fine. Azu's a tank. And all we need to do basically at this point is just get to an Ice Beam, because that is going to be doing super effective damage. We build up, we do get to the Ice Beam, and this Ice Beam is going to be doing a nice chunk of damage there, and one more bubble, and we are able to take the game. Oh my goodness. So that battle right there shows the power of Parasect. If you put it in a position to succeed, it will succeed. I really like, because the Solar Beam can one-shot an Azu, and it absolutely walls Meganium. So especially if you're struggling with, for example, Grass Hole teams, this is a really good option, because it's going to double resist grass moves, and with its Fury Cutter and X Scissor, it's going to be able to handle most any grass type you throw its way. In conclusion, I do recommend Parasect. Granted, it's not meta-defining or anything like that, but I like it as a nice, unique budget option to help, especially if you're up on energy. It can take out Azumarill, but also it has really great coverages against grass types, which are becoming more and more common this season. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video or live stream.